Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Plutonium Show. What did I say? The Plutonium Show.
The Plutonium Show.
Can
you do it in the transatlantic accent?
Oh my god! Now that you put me on the spot, like, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Plutonium Show. I don't know why I had to do it in the face.
That should be the intro. Yeah. Oh man.
Did you guys watch my last video?
Oh my gosh.
Victim.
I loved that video.
It's only 3 minutes, and it took me a while to make because you just have to get, I'm listening to my narration and I'm coming up with ideas for what footage I want for B-roll. So that takes time. But yeah, it's up. If you haven't seen it, heart for you to go see it after this podcast.
Yes, see this podcast and then go and see that work of art because I really genuinely enjoy it.
Thank you. It was a labor of love. So today, a little bit of, I don't think it's catch up. I will be referencing a few things from a couple of weeks ago that Zach wasn't privy to or you didn't discuss, but it's really, how do I put it? It's up to date topics. Don't worry. It's just connected a little bit to the Sussex relaunch, the website relaunch and their Invictus 1 year to go, 3-day jaunt in Vancouver. But basically, we're going to be touching on that and how Meghan Markle, for a woman who said she never wanted to be a lady who lunches, she wants to be a lady who works. She gets photographed, going on a lot of lunches.
One of the last people on the planet that should say, I want to work when it's the complete opposite is her.
I know.
She's literally done almost nothing with her life except prance around in front of cameras and make up fake drama.
That's the irony. So we're also going to touch upon her lemonada, her fall from grace, once signed up to Spotify and now to some obscure, no offense. I'm not pretending I'm signed up to Spotify, but I don't pretend that I'm queen of the world either. I know my place. But yeah, she secured a new deal with a very small unknown podcast company. So we'll touch upon that because some new stuff. We're not just talking about the new sign-up deal, but some new stuff's come up in relation to that. And hopefully, if we have time, we'll touch upon some other things relating to Harry and Meghan potentially returning to the UK.
Ooh,
yeah,
interesting.
The theme of this episode really, as you can tell from the title and the thumbnail, assuming I still use the same one I have in mind, is that they are so desperate to get back into the royal fold that they're not even pretending anymore. It's in your face at this point.
I have a sneaking suspicion that this desperation came back as the diagnosis for his dear father happened.
I would say that's when it amped up. Yeah, is that the right word? Ramped up?
Yeah, ramped up.
Yeah. That's when it really, went to 0 to 60. Like, now's our chance.
Yeah, which is just disgusting to be opportunistic about a family member being sick. But anyway.
Yeah. It's deplorable. I mean, he gave an interview a few days after seeing his father, talking about how he went to see his father and patting himself on the back. So
congratulations, you did the bare minimum of a decent human being.
Exactly. Except all of us won't go out to the world announcing it, even if we were famous, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's like, I cooked for my children. What? What?
So, as you all know, it's been discussed at length by everyone, including myself, video before last. Meghan and Harry have relaunched, their rebrand number. What did I say in my last video? 2,154. With their Sussex.com website, which has replaced their Archwell website. So now if you type in Archwell, you get redirected to Sussex.com. And I believe you also will somehow get directed to SussexRoyal.com, which the Queen specifically told them they cannot use the word royal. But it's still up there defiantly 4 years later.
Yeah, like they could respect anyone alive or dead.
Exactly. I mean, they don't even respect themselves.
Yeah, look at what they're doing.
Exactly. So it's obvious, Meghan's used her royal crest, which they made for her, upon her, right before she married Harry. And it's the office of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. A clear move away from what they tried around 2023, 2022, they tried rebranding themselves as Harry and Meghan. It was very obvious. It was all over the news. They were referred to time and time again It's Harry and Meghan. But what we're seeing now is this 180 going back to 2021, the same year that the Oprah interview took place, where they were hell bent on being seen as American royalty, with their fake pseudo royal tours and
American royalty. There's no royal family in America. Oh my gosh. It's like there's a king and queen in the UK. I guess we'll go over here and be king and queen here.
What's funny is she prides herself as some sort of an intellectual. Do you know anything about the history of your own country, woman? Or is it just as difficult to read into that as it was for you to Google the national anthem? Jesus.
I didn't Google Harry or the national anthem or American history.
So, yes, there's that rebrand. And then there was their appearance for 3 days at Whistler, Vancouver for the Invictus kind of countdown. And she was prancing around as usual in her thousands of dollars worth of clothes and, pretending she's some royal once again. When the question that really crosses everyone's minds now, every time we see her at anything Invictus related is, lady, why are you even here?
Yep.
The least you can do, and I know I've said this in my video before last, but the least she can do is put on Invictus merch.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be humbling, but Meghan Markle doesn't know what the word humble is unless it's in reference to what she thinks other people should be to her.
Well, I don't even know if it needs to be humbling. She should be proud.
Yeah.
Harry loves to boast, even though we all know it's not true, how he is the founder of the Invictus Games. He's not the founder of the Invictus Games. How ridiculous. It is common knowledge that it was founded basically as part of the palace staff, along with William and Catherine and Harry, created it together, and then everyone handed it off to Harry, including William and Catherine, to keep him occupied because he's a naughty little boy.
And he needed something to look good by. You know what it reminds me of? How the famous musicians, the famous singers today, and it's like, oh, she wrote that song, he wrote that song. It's like, no, they had a team behind them. They're just the face of the brand, and that's exactly what it is.
Yep.
Harry is the face of Invictus because if he wasn't that, then he doesn't do any of the work. That's clear. That even if he does now, even if he's changed, if not for the fact that he was royalty, this thing wouldn't exist.
Absolutely. It costs millions of pounds to set up these things, to organize them every year, and they used to be really big deals before Meghan. This is the irony. I referenced in my last kind of long form video about this topic, the masterpiece. I referenced how some reporters were saying, oh, Meghan and Harry are necessary. Meghan in particular is necessary to bring attention to the Invictus Games. And I'm like, hold up. Excuse me. Are we talking about the same games here? The games where before Meghan joined the fray, the likes of Obama and Biden, presidents would attend. And now it's just a joke. It's the Meghan and Harry show. It's the Meghan Markle runway.
Every time Meghan goes out of the house, she thinks it's a runway. That is some serious delusion, let alone something where it's meant to be for a better cause, for something that should have nothing to do with her and she should be supporting others. No, this is my runway too. And let's not forget, it's not as if she's just putting on a bunch of outfits, but she's actually working really hard at the games. No. She doesn't care for anyone that's at those games. She only cares about herself. The same way that she didn't care for anyone affected by the scandal that happened to them, a few weeks ago?
African parks.
Exactly. So if she's not going to do anything about African parks, she's certainly not doing anything at Invictus except prancing around.
Absolutely. And the craziest thing is, Harry actually apparently went against their Netflix contract by dropping a documentary which involves the 3 days that they spent in Vancouver recently on Hulu. And so when the Daily Mail contacted Netflix, a Netflix executive was literally taken aback by the news when they asked them for comment. They didn't even know. And I don't know what the terms, of the contract are. Obviously, it could be that there's some leeway where Harry could go off and make documentaries and work with other companies. I highly doubt it for $20 million or $100 million. Sorry, $20 million was Spotify, and that's down the drain. For $100 million, I highly doubt they were given much flexibility and leeway.
You don't pay $100 million to not own that piece of content exclusively.
Exactly. And we all know Netflix already has its claws on Invictus because of the Invictus documentary, The Heart of Invictus, which flopped. So now, yeah, Hulu has is streaming, which, you know, I haven't watched it. I'll see if I can find it somewhere, but it's streaming a documentary exclusively about Prince Harry and the Invictus Games. And so we'll see how that goes. It'll be very interesting if Meghan and Harry are dumb enough to land themselves in a lawsuit with a monstrosity such as Netflix.
Oh, that would just be great. I mean, Spotify kicking them to the curb and then Netflix going, wow, you don't know what a contract is because you're a spoiled little brat who grew up in a royal family.
What's funny to me is this almost, if this was actually behind Netflix's back and the reporting that the Netflix executive was taken aback is accurate, it almost seems to me like Meghan, yes, I always say Meghan because she is the mastermind behind all of this.
Yes, she is.
It's obvious now after years and years of coverage. Meghan was so insulted by the Netflix CEO laughing at the Golden Globes that she went, I'll show you. And they posed on the red carpet next to the Paramount executive in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
And now they dropped an exclusive documentary of sorts with Hulu.
It seems so petty and so insignificant that it's exactly Meghan Markle's MO.
Yeah, it checks out with me. Now, the worst part is there is this royal author, Robert Jobson, I think his name is, who featured on this documentary, I think, or maybe he commented on it. As I said, I haven't watched it. And he says that Prince William is jealous of Harry's success with Invictus.
I think there was a degree of jealousy about how well it had gone. I do think that William was surprised how much this had been such a success and how much money was being thrown into it and how many governments were getting involved.
And I'm just like, Prince William, who was instrumental as well in founding the Invictus Games, there are photos of him handing out medals in the first Invictus Games. He was heavily involved. He handed it willingly to his little brother.
That sounds like something that both Meghan and Harry would ask someone to say on their behalf, but not really come from them, because it's the complete opposite. Harry is so jealous of William that he dresses up in inappropriate costumes at Halloween to get attention.
And then blames William for it.
He writes books about all the in-depth details, which I doubt half of them are true, about his relationship with his brother. He spends years upon years, I mean, it's soon going to be like a decade of slandering his family and doing everything he can to destroy the family that brought him up, to destroy the institution that he should proudly be a part of. This is a tantrum from a younger brother who doesn't like the fact that the older brother is being responsible. How can anyone get that backwards?
He doesn't like the fact that William got more sausages for breakfast. Oh, he actually complained about that in his book.
How pathetic do you have to be? This man is a child.
Yes, he's a man-child. He's the definition of a man-child clinging on to some psychopath. I mean, she's not literally, I'm not, diagnosing her, but someone who behaves, she's cosplaying and pretending to be his dead mother.
Yes.
How else can you describe such behavior?
That is, again, almost as deplorable as dragging your family's name through the mud, unjustified as well. It's not as if, even if they had done half the things that Harry said they had, right, which for the most part was family, conundrums. I mean, everyone, if they had, their family's history lined out in front of people, obviously things would be taken out of context.
Yes.
Obviously there would be things from people's different point of view. But coming from Harry and knowing just how bitter he is, it's like, how can anyone say that William is jealous of Harry?
Yeah. Recently, I believe it was last week, Meghan suddenly, it was all over the news. That's how you know it's all leaked. It's like, how do people know whenever these things happen? Of course, the party who did these things is the one leaking it. We suddenly find out that she made a pre-recorded video message to the Mayhew Animal Shelter, I believe, in the UK, of which she used to be a royal patron. Not anymore, obviously. But it was in honor of a friend of hers who passed away, who introduced her to the charity. And when you see that in isolation, you think, okay, whatever, apart from the fact that it's suspiciously been leaked to the public, you go, okay, it's her friend. She used to be a royal patron. She apparently loves dogs. I mean, dog lovers don't leave their... She said he was old, but I believe her dog Bogart was only 5 years old, if not younger, 4 years old, when she left him in Canada forever and basically dumped him with a friend and moved to the UK.
That's not old.
That is quite young for a dog, and I don't know how she got away with that lie. Well, she gets away with a lot of lies, doesn't she?
Well, she gets away until, people hear it and go, that sounds like bull.
Yeah. But when you consider that pretty much right on the heels of this recorded message, she was photographed twice on the same day, once for lunch, once for dinner. And we believe it's the same day because the paparazzos who were called, backgrid, to photograph her were wearing the same outfits. Of course, she wasn't,
Yeah,
Merch.
she doesn't wear the same outfit for like 5 minutes.
Well, she's merching.
Yeah.
It's not even a matter of, oh, I'm girly and I love wearing clothes, which is absolutely fine. You want to get changed for lunch, for dinner, absolutely. But she's merching.
I think even girly girls would be like, yeah, she changes her outfits a little too much.
Yeah. I mean, in one day, again, remember how we discussed last year Invictus, she changed 3-4 times in a day?
Yeah.
She did the same thing in Vancouver.
That's what I'm referencing because of that. Because it's just like, pick something comfortable, especially at Invictus of all things.
Wear Invictus merch.
Gosh.
That's it. So she's photographed once with the designer of her wedding dress. Obviously, that's some kind of a royal connection in my mind. It's a British woman. And you kind of wonder, well, Meghan doesn't, Meghan changes friends the way we change. Well, wait, I should say this. Meghan changes friends the way she changes clothes.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. And even then, the clothes last a bit longer.
Yeah. So friends, I use that term very loosely. She's been pictured with that woman again. And then at night, she was pictured with who the reports are saying is an Oprah show executive.
Oh, okay.
Now, it's funny how whenever Meghan's photographed for, lunch or dinner in a parking lot, she's always, I'm so surprised the paparazzi that are called actually made it.
They're still coming out? Oh, they fell for it again.
But my point is, she's never photographed with an actual friend. It's always someone that she wants the media to know, like an Oprah executive, the designer of her dress, people that she knows, if they were mentioned in reports, it would get people talking.
An Oprah executive right after the Netflix CEO was giggling along at, what was it, the Oscars?
Golden Globes.
Golden Globes, same thing to me. And then you have her leaking the stuff to Hulu, and then now this.
Well, they didn't leak to Hulu.
Well, you know what I mean.
They
Giving
gave,
to Hulu, yeah. Freely give. Here, Hulu. I guess you want a new Netflix.
The Oprah executive, obviously, I think she thinks people are going to think, oh, is there another bombshell interview coming up? But I believe one of the articles referenced her podcast. So she wants one of these executives to produce her podcast, which she had a few Oprah executives producing her Flopcast archetypes with Spotify.
That didn't work.
Exactly.
I find it very interesting that anyone surrounding Oprah, like, are these they used to work with Oprah, or are they currently working with Oprah people?
I have no idea. I think they're former Oprah executives. I'm not sure.
Right.
So, yeah, it's just been a suspicious amount of Meghan getting photographed in the one day with people that would get tongues wagging, or at least in the dress designer's case, would get people talking, oh, she's reestablishing her UK contacts. And while I may be reading into this, when it comes to Meghan Markle, nothing is ever natural. Nothing is ever a coincidence.
Nope, absolutely not.
She has deliberately, in my opinion, been photographed with these specific people. Now, as I mentioned in the opening, she's signed a new deal for a podcast, which is a really, really big, mighty fall from Spotify.
Yeah, there would be nothing wrong with joining a startup and then ending up at Spotify.
Yes.
But doing it the other way around is like,
Meghan seems to specialize in that.
Yeah.
She was once on top of the world, a princess, even though, speaking of the Tig and lady who lunches, she once said, I've always wanted to be She-Ra, princess of whatever, princess of power or whatever, like basically diminishing from Princess Catherine.
Yeah.
And saying, I never wanted to be a pathetic princess anyway.
Yeah, no, shut the hell up. Seriously, you never wanted to be a pathetic princess.
So, yes, once a princess of the United Kingdom. I mean, she's still technically a princess of the United Kingdom, unfortunately. People haven't been doing anything about that. I'm planning a video on that entire topic, by the way, so stay tuned. But yeah, nothing wrong with a startup as long as you work your way up, as opposed to
Or if you had a successful podcast with Spotify and you're like, oh, I'm going to create a startup, or I'm going to help a startup for a friend, and there's that sort of I'm going to help them come to my success.
Yes.
No, all you're going to do is probably bury the startup, because anything affiliated with Harry and Meghan is designed to crash and burn.
That's what people are actually saying. It's like, rip la manada. I mean, you made your bed, now you're going to have to lie in it.
Oh, she's famous. Oh, we'll accept the contract. Shameless. She's shameless. That means that you're gone. And I really, really hope that this isn't the end of them. However, it also sends a message to everyone else. It's like the award ceremonies that she turns up to, and it's like, now I know this awards ceremony is a sham.
Well, it's funny because we don't even know these award ceremonies exist half the time.
Yeah.
And that's why they do it.
Yeah.
We all know.
And they had more respect before we knew Meghan Markle went there.
So Archetypes was a flop, as we all know. We all said it was, even when it was ongoing, before Spotify dropped them, before, what's his name, Simmons came out and said they're effing grifters. It was obvious. It was boring. It was bland. It was horrible. And Meghan might agree, even though it's being redistributed by this Lemonada company. She's dropping Archetypes. Now she's going to have a new podcast in which she will share stories from her own life and do some inner reflecting. Except that's exactly what she did on Archetypes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just getting ready for more word salad, because that's what she does. Share stories from your inner life. You mean take the truth and pervert it until it's a complete lie, until everyone comes out and says, yeah, no, I grew up with Meghan Markle. That's a complete lie. That's not what happened at all.
I mean, this Yahoo article I'm reading from says, while Meghan shared a little about herself on Archetypes, the content was mostly focused on her guests and society as a whole. What? Did you guys, I know you didn't tune in, but I had the incredible misfortune of tuning in. Even when we were overseas in Europe, I remember on our way to Disney on the train, I tuned in like a masochist. And on our way home, I finished that episode that I tuned into like the masochist that I am.
Yeah, good thing you were going to Disney, right?
Yeah, seriously, that was a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it was really busy. The crowds in Disney are ridiculous. It was Disney
insane.
Paris.
Yeah.
What? Number one, she talked over her guests.
Yep.
Number two, she made sure her guests were reinforcing the points she wanted to make. So if they ever diverged, she would go, but no, Serena, don't talk about your successes. Talk about how you're a victim like me. That's what I remember. It was all about, encouraging, bringing down her very successful guests to her level of victimhood, and how they're so hard done by the media and the world.
Exactly. It's like, I've experienced this misfortune, which I totally brought upon myself by being a horrible person. Tell me how you experienced this misfortune. It's like, actually, no, I'm a successful person who's actually done something with my life, because I remember you telling me about it and showing me excerpts of it. And it was the Meghan podcast featuring some person who has to agree with Meghan or not.
Yep, to reinforce her narrative.
So if we're going to cut out the guests and we're just going to listen to Meghan, it's almost going to be no different, except that it might not be as awkward for her cutting off actual successful people, which I'm assuming those people have learned their lesson, will not associate with her anymore, I'd hope.
It gets worse, by the way. It says she wants to do mostly philanthropic type content. She considers herself too academic for entertainment only. She doesn't want the podcast to be celebrity driven, though she'll have some stars on.
Academic. It's like a person who's never picked up a book in their entire life. And I'm not saying this from, she's probably not educated. I'm saying this based on what she has done. Her actions have shown us, right? This isn't an assumption. Her actions have shown us how stupid she can be.
Yeah. Like,
really stupid. Like, does not learn about the world around her, only cares about how the world can serve her. Academic? That's, again, a word that should never be used with her until she actually does something smart. I remember when people used to say, oh, maybe it's like this massive cunning plan of what she's doing.
Yeah.
And I would say, it seems spontaneous and just pulling it out of her
Impulsive.
ass. Impulsive.
Yeah.
There's no brains there.
Well, it's always the same, because who do you think fed this paragraph to Yahoo News? Obviously, it's Meghan herself. If you have to tell people you're academic, you're too intelligent, which she loves saying, by the way, it's not the first time, then perhaps you're trying to convince yourself.
Yeah.
Because truly academic and intelligent people don't walk around saying they are. They do. They simply are. It exudes from the way they speak.
In fact, what they talk about is academic things. Like, what's his name? Neil deGrasse Tyson, I think?
Yes, Neil deGrasse Tyson,
yeah. He doesn't come out and say, I'm academic. He goes, let's talk about space. Let's talk about all these academic things that I'm interested in. And you just know that he's got some brains and actually studies and does things that are academic.
Meghan couldn't even pass that entrance exam in Argentina to work for the U.S. Embassy. It was some kind of a student internship. And it was like literally an entrance exam.
I can imagine please write how you think the world would be a better place. And she goes, if the UN could serve me.
I know. I think she failed math. You need to have some basic level of math. So, yes, this is just a lot of the same thing. I remember all the hype around archetypes. It was like in billboards in Times Square. It was so hyped up. And that's why people tuned in to begin with. Because the hype, it works. That's why people spend millions on advertising. And it flopped every week. It fell and fell and fell further into the Spotify charts abyss.
Yep.
So she's very tenacious. I'll give her that. She doesn't understand when she's not good at something. Even acting. Look how long it took her to land Suits. And even that was a very minor role. But it took her years to even land that. So she is tenacious. She's driven, as she likes to say. But if only she would focus and her talents on productive things, on things that can help the world.
To that comment of her being tenacious, a lion can be tenacious when it's hunting its prey in the wild, but it's still an animal. It's still a lion. It's doing what's in its nature, right? But there's nothing smart about that. There's nothing understanding when you're not good at something, right? If she could step back for a second and understand, okay, maybe the last podcast flopped because I didn't do a good enough job, because I needed to improve my people skills or whatever it is. Just any sort of self-reflection would put her in a position where she might have a chance at bettering herself.
Yes.
But this isn't what Meghan Markle does. Meghan doesn't think she's wrong, ever. And that's the problem, is that's why this podcast will end up as bad or even worse.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because you say that, and there's this article I have open where apparently her PR people, I don't know if this is true, are warning her that, you can come across as really self-absorbed, and that's why your podcast flopped. You need to be a little bit more relatable. That's Meghan's nightmare. Why do you think she decks herself in thousands of dollars worth of clothing, millions of dollars worth of jewelry, wherever she goes, no matter whether she's hiking, she's going to a homeless shelter for pregnant women, she's at the Invictus Games, because she thrives off showing people that she's better than them, that she isn't relatable, that she is this out of reach magical princess, like she told the Harlem children, yes, I am a princess. That's why. And so if you tell her you have to be more relatable, she's going to scoff in your face and go, but I'm not relatable.
In one ear and out the other. I just had this thought on that. I mean, maybe this has been discussed before, but perhaps Meghan trying to infiltrate the royal family wasn't anything to do with just being a princess with Harry. Perhaps she had her eyes on the big seat from the beginning.
On the being queen?
Maybe.
I don't know about that. I don't know if, she's not really intelligent, so perhaps she doesn't understand how the line of succession works.
And that's why I'm thinking these things now, because I'm looking at someone who is impulsive and just does whatever she feels like and doesn't care about the consequences, and then complains about the consequences after.
Yes.
Then we're looking at someone who can't just keep her cool, right? And someone who wants to be high and mighty and better than everyone else. And what's higher than the queen of anything, really?
I think she misunderstood the assignment. I think she thought that royalty was what little girls think it is in books. She thought that she could be, a princess, belle of the ball, and just have this jet-setting life where she's free to do as she pleases, no commitments, but all the perks. And when she very quickly realized, there are rumors that Princess Anne actually told her, I don't know where you think you are, but this is the British monarchy and here we work.
Yeah.
Which is something I can totally imagine Princess Anne saying, and what I love about her. If you haven't seen my video on her, it's called The Magnificent. Check it out. And then, when she realized the reality of the situation, which Prince Harry clearly did not explain.
Well, Prince Harry didn't know. But it's not like Prince Harry was one to work in the royal family too. I mean, what little he did, he at least did something.
He did something. We can give him that.
But
before her.
But him talking about, I always wanted it out. I always wanted to get away from my family.
Yes.
What?
Yes, there's that too.
What? Like, the last person to show you how the royal family works is Prince Harry.
And this is a brilliant segue because apparently for someone who's always wanted to leave, even before Meghan, for someone who decided to leave for Meghan's sake and for the sake of his children to save their lives because it's so horrible. William and King Charles are trapped. Remember that from the Oprah interview? They're trapped. They just don't know it because they didn't get Savior Meghan Markle to come open their eyes to the reality of the situation.
I mean, if it was solitary confinement and Meghan Markle saving me, I'll stay in solitary confinement, please. Yeah, no thanks.
But basically, for all of that talk, they're now apparently insistent, very hell-bent on returning to the UK to celebrate Invictus's 10-year anniversary at St. Paul's Cathedral, I believe. Don't forget, keep all of this in the back of your mind as I read this. The UK is allegedly racist. It's too dangerous for them to even set foot in it without armed security.
Yep.
And it made Meghan Markle suicidal, basically, right?
Yeah, of course, victim.
And apparently Meghan even vowed that she would never set foot there again after the funeral, Queen Elizabeth's funeral. So,
I mean, anything that comes out of her mouth should be questioned. So here we are.
So now apparently that tune has once again changed. Of course, it's not the first time. It's been changing gradually ever since their fight for security. Oh, the UK is my home and my children deserve to be in their home. Really? I thought America was your home. Literally, you said that in your Netflix documentary. So they don't even know what's up and down at this point.
They've been touting so many lies that they can't keep track of them, which is the number one trait of a big liar.
Yep. And so they say Harry's very keen for his entire family to join him. It's important for him that they show a united front and focus on building bridges with the rest of the royal family.
Who was burning those bridges, Harry?
This is what I hate. And yes, I'm going to use the word. This is what I despise, loathe about people like this. People who think they can set the world on fire and they decide when they want to stop and fix things. It's up to them. And I have dealt with these people. And that's why seriously, they really get this visceral reaction out of me. I just get so angry. Like, who do you think you are to go about causing such destruction for no reason whatsoever? And then you decide that you want to mend bridges.
It's like another level of narcissism. It is so self-absorbed and so I am mightier than thou, which I guess we've been talking about this with Meghan. It's just so out of touch. You've hurt people. You've literally defamed them. You've made up stories for attention. You've done everything you can and shown that nothing is sacred to you. Your family isn't sacred to you. Your children aren't sacred to you because you won't let them see the rest of your family. Nothing is sacred to you. Not even the people who once saw you as a lovable prince. The people who want nothing to do with you anymore. Nothing is sacred. So these words are empty. You want to mend bridges? No, you want more opportunities because you destroyed all the other ones.
Absolutely. What happened to mending bridges last November when Omid Scobie named Princess Catherine and the King as the racist? I mean,
exactly.
As we all know, that term was not used, but it's too late. All the implications are there. It was very heavily implied. I mean, forget implied in the Oprah interview. They accepted an award in late 2022, the Ripple of Hope Award, for fighting against racism within the British monarchy. It literally cannot get any clearer than that. And that's why when Harry backtracked with Tom Bradby a few months later going, we never said they were racist. When did we? It was such gaslighting where it was amazing that they even kept it, you know. I mean, I'm glad they did so he can expose himself as the gaslighter that he is. But he was gaslighting the whole world. And now they're pretending that they're the peacekeepers. They're the ones who want to mend relationships, to reach out, when they have been the destructive ones all along. And to whom? To strangers? It's bad enough to be destructive to strangers who've done you nothing, let alone your own family.
Yep.
Your flesh and blood. Prince William and his beautiful wife who has done nothing but be a sister for Harry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Harry loved her. I even think he had some kind of a crush on her, to be honest, based on how he wrote about her in Spare.
Well, you know that he's jealous of everything that William has.
Yeah.
So there was obviously no line there, I bet, in his head.
Yeah, no, I seriously think he had a crush. I mean, based on this is my opinion, based on how he wrote about her in Spare and how he loved making her laugh. And he was very into her in that way. He really liked her. If not in a romantic / sexual way, he at least really liked her.
Yeah, they were a tight family unit.
And this is how you treat her?
Mm-hmm.
Because your wife is one of the most insecure women in the world. I mean, she was so insecure she couldn't even have a maid of honor. Everyone has a maid of honor.
Yeah.
I get she doesn't have, you know, a sister like Pippa, but she had her family. She had Samantha. She had her best friends. She keeps referencing her best friends. Anyways.
I mean, come on, her father, you know, not walking her down the aisle. That
too. And she wanted to meet King Charles halfway down the aisle. So she did the first half entirely by herself.
Look at me, all independent until I need this royal family so I can ride them for all they're worth because I'm worth nothing.
Well, she wasn't even independent before them. That's what the beauty of Tom Bower's book. She always latched onto a man in every single part of her life. It was her father for her childhood, and then boyfriends, and then her first husband, and then other boyfriends. She was never independent. So yeah, they want to mend bridges. I mean, if this isn't an insult. Now, the best part is, it's easy to get riled up about these things, especially when you first read them, because I first read this now on camera, and it was a very live reaction, I suppose. But when you think about it, which is what my video, The Masterpiece, was about, it's very clear that the royal family is sick and tired of their games just as much as we are.
Yep.
Because Harry is, you know, telling the world, I'm more than happy to come and work again, you know, while the king is sick.
Sure you are.
And the palace said, no thanks.
No, we're good. Yeah.
And Prince William in particular will not stand and allow for this to happen. Princess Catherine won't allow it to happen, but I'm specifically banking on Prince William.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a future king if I ever saw one.
Yes.
He putting his foot down against his own brother, which has hurt him, his wife, his family, and his country.
And his children. Because Meghan, there are rumors that she severely bullied Princess Charlotte when she was a 3-year-old.
I mean,
a baby.
If that isn't enough to strip the titles, what is? I wouldn't be surprised if, however long it takes for, you know, William to take the throne, the first thing he does is rip them out brutally because, I don't have a daughter, I don't have any kids, and the thought of William standing by while Charlotte, his little girl, is bullied, even his little boys, how could you not want to just do everything to keep those people away from you? I
mean, that's, you know, it was one of the final straws for William. That's not long after, with the staff being bullied. And of course, he knew about what happened to Charlotte and Catherine. I mean, Catherine, as we all know, was also reduced to tears because of Meghan's antics. That's when he confronted Harry and they had a physical brawl, which Harry cried about in Spare. Like, no brothers ever had a physical brawl, especially when it's about, hey, your wife is out of line.
Yeah.
So, no, I completely have full faith in Prince William. People like to say King Charles is also, you know, switched on about this. I don't know where I stand on this. I think King Charles will always have a soft spot for Harry because he's his son. However, we have to give him credit where credit is due. So far, he has kept him at bay. You know, their meeting recently where he went to see him was, like I said, between 12 minutes to half an hour. And then King Charles flew off to Sandringham, like, you know, sayonara. So, yeah, let's not write off King Charles. And by the way, wishing him all the health in the world. He actually stated that he, after receiving messages from well-wishers, he was reduced to tears. So such a lovely, sensitive man. It's so obvious that he is. And yes, he's not perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. I feel like I always have to put in that disclaimer because the comment section can be vicious about, you know, Charles and Diana and all that. So no one's perfect. We're not, you're not, he's not. I really hope he's doing well. I hope Catherine is also on the mend. And I'm afraid that's all we have time for today.
Yes.
Any last words?
No, I feel like I've vented enough for now until Meghan does something else and I go, wow, you really did that. Like, just when you think you can't sink any lower, Meghan Markle shows you how.
Yep. There was one more thing, but I'm really out of time, so I'll briefly mention it. Harry's visa case with the Heritage Foundation. It's not actually Harry's case. It's the Heritage Foundation versus the government, basically. And Biden's government has said, oh, yeah, even though Harry admitted to using drugs in his book, that book shouldn't be seen as truthful. So they threw Harry.
Oh my gosh.
They threw Harry's book and his, you know, and his honesty under the bus, which we all know he has no honesty. But the Biden government just went, you shouldn't believe what this book says, you know, as the truth, where Harry literally said, this book is the truth.
Yeah.
This is my chance to put the truth out there. So let us know what you think about that. Of course, we know there are countless interviews. I even covered the Dr. Gabor Mate interview where he literally, that whole interview was about Harry's drug use.
Yeah.
So that's just one example. You know, we'll see how that goes. I still don't think it's going to go anywhere because Harry's an elite. And like my video, I already forgot what it's called. The one where I talk about how the elites are given permission to
The game
in the thumbnail. Yes. They do as they please because the world is their playground created for their enjoyment. And we just exist to serve. Unless
Meghan Markle drags him down even further. Maybe she drags him down to the point where they go, we don't care what royal family he's from. Get out of our country.
We'll see. We'll just wait and see. That's it. Thank you all for tuning in and sticking around. We are so close to our 100th episode.
Almost there.
That's crazy. I mean, I think it's we're almost to our we're exactly a month shy away from our 3-year anniversary of this podcast as well.
Wow, geez.
It's the 27th of February today. We released our first episode, I believe, or at least we recorded it on the 27th of March, 2021.
Oh boy.
So yeah, thank you all for sticking by us, and I hope you continue to do so. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.
See you then.